Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles, where you learn how to be the magician of your life. My name is Anna, and I'm your most favorite manifestation coach under the sun. Reason why is because nobody takes as much time with their clients, and nobody has such coaching like my coaching. If you're coming to my coaching, I coach in audio exchange as well as phone sessions. We interact 2 to 3 times per week. Scheduling allowed, meaning you will have to schedule the phone sessions in a time slot with me. Nobody interacts with their clients in this capacity this often. Usually I hear and I see other coaches, I've seen other coaches basically schedule a Zoom session and they charge way more money than me. And a Zoom session is about an hour and it's once per week. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd like for my coach to take fucking notes after me, which I do tremendous much. And it doesn't seem like on a Zoom session you can take a lot of notes. How do I know that? Because in the beginning, about a year ago now, when I started coaching YouTube clients, before that I coached off YouTube for 7 years, I couldn't take notes on Zoom as much as I wanted to because I was too busy listening to what the person was saying. And so my coaching mainly is designed to help the person as much as possible, because if you record an audio and you send it to me, I transcribe that audio. It's basically a transcript of everything you say, more or less the most interesting points. Sometimes it's a lot of what you say, 90% of what you say I write down because I want to have it on the page. I'm not one of these people who has these apps that transcribe things. No, I take notes in a very specific way. I want to take my notations as I take the notes, what I want to remember to tell you. I circle things, I put little question marks where I need to ask you something, etc., etc. Taking notes is the most important thing in coaching ever. Also because I can always go back and look at what you told me before so that I can either remind myself or remind you, well, what about this and what about that? And so in the audio exchange example, by the way, the info is below to my coaching on my website. We start usually with the phone session because I'd like to meet you. I'd like to get to know you, what you want to work on in coaching. And so I record that hour with your permission, obviously, and of course. Also because I want to take notes later, a lot of notes. All right, so that's how we start. And after that, we exchange audios. You record an audio, you send it to me. Usually takes me a day or two to reply. I reply with my own audio. I usually text you. That's part of my service, when to expect the audio. And then I text you when I replied. And so back and forth we go. I cover everything in my coaching, starting with childhood all the way up until today, in order to understand the makings of your mind, the kind of beliefs you have, the kinds of things you've lived, the kinds of things we need to address. Now, please don't misunderstand this for therapy. I am not a therapist. This is another thing that you will need to acknowledge about booking my coaching. There's a coaching agreement attached to every single package. It is similar. I'm not going to say it's not. But the main difference between therapy and coaching is this. I am allowed to give you feedback. I am allowed to give you direction. And I don't dilly-dally for fucking month on end or years when people are in therapy just talking about themselves, about the same thing over and over again, and never get any feedback back, never get any opinions. Okay, yes, a coach has an opinion. Hello, good morning. And thus don't make any fucking progress. I'd rather be brutally honest with you, which I am, and tell you exactly what I think in order to wake you up to the fact that you need to work on things. I don't understand in some cases. Listen, by all means, if you're in therapy, stay in therapy. I'm not discouraging you from that. If it's something psychological, this is a completely different conversation. What I'm talking about, if you want to work on your beliefs, if you want to change your life in a manifestational way, this is a completely different shebang. And so I'm allowed to give you feedback. I'm not a therapist. And so the other package with the phone sessions, again, we meet 2 to 3 times per week via phone. I record those sessions because, again, for my notes. But the difference is we interact live on the phone, and thus the price is higher. And also because later on, I need to go through that hour to take more notes, okay? I usually listen to it more than once. Just to give you an idea, a 20-minute audio takes me a couple of hours to transcribe and to listen to, because everybody speaks differently. People have different accents. I have clients all over the world. People sometimes speak differently, and so I need to listen to it more than once in order to understand what you're saying. The same thing with the hour session. Sometimes I don't hear everything as I'm listening to you, in the sense that I can't absorb everything as you're speaking, but I will absorb it later as I'm taking my notes. I need to cover the history with you first, your history first, and then continue on to manifestation techniques and this and that. Chances are you have forgiveness to do. Chances are your beliefs are not the way you want them to be. Chances are there's a lot of work to be done before you start manifesting. And so please expect that you are going to spend at least 2 to 3 months in my coaching, and in some cases maybe more. But this is minimum. Okay, because if you have some drama panorama to work through, don't just like hoopla and expect me to start coaching you in manifestation. That is not how I work. This is not how it's done. And even if you went to somebody else who is going to tell you that you can do that, they're full of shit. You're going to waste your money. I'd rather you invest money with me and come out of my coaching ready to rock and roll and manifest, provided you do the work. Provided you show up and do the fucking work. I cannot do your push-ups for you. Please don't expect me to. If you have any questions, please email me below with your objectives of coaching. You can also book me for an hour. This will be separate from coaching fee, and my fee is non-refundable. This is also part of the agreement. All right, the subject of today is your SP has always been yours. Okay, now let me explain what this means, especially if you're new. And if you're new, please subscribe. You're going to learn a lot on this channel. In one audio of my channel, you're going to learn more than 300 other million videos on other channels. True story. I'm not even bragging on me. I just know what I'm doing. That's all. And I'm very precise with my method so that it doesn't take you years, okay, to download how to do this and go do it on your own. So on this channel, I explain extensively how the parallel realities work and how your beliefs form your worlds. How right now, in this moment in time, you are walking around with a certain package of beliefs. None of them are great, okay? You have inherited certain ways of thinking from different people, like your mother, your father, your guardian, whoever. Maybe your friends have had an influence on you, your girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands and wives, and whoever else. And not all of it belongs to you. Not all of it is authentic to you. And what I mean by authentic is that it is chosen by you consciously, okay? You just automatically picked up some bullshit from other people who had no business influencing you and who you had no business believing. When you become on purpose and decide what it is you want to believe, you're on another fucking level, okay? And you become a superhero in your life. But chances are, most of these things you've been walking around with for years, maybe decades even. And so you are thinking that this is just how it is and there's no other way. Or what's worse, in some cases, you're not even aware what you're thinking until you stop yourself. And especially in my coaching, we go over this at length with the belief work. Even when you don't think I'm working on your beliefs, I'm still working on your beliefs, because that's really all it is. Everybody's different. Like a different snowflake. Everybody's so different. And I love my clients because they're so interesting and so it's mesmerizing work, because it's, for me, talking to you, it's clear to see what you need to adjust. But to you, it may not be, because you've just been living with it for so long. It's like in a living room, you have some fucking banged up some chair, or some maybe not banged up, but it's just there, and you've grown so accustomed to it, and it doesn't serve you anymore. It takes up room. You don't prefer it, but it's still there, and it's so there you don't even notice it. Okay? But you don't notice it until somebody points it out and say, well, what about this fucking bullshit over here? And you say, oh yeah, I've grown so accustomed to it, I don't even notice it. I just take it for granted. Well, you shouldn't. That's when the real change starts. And so your beliefs have you locked into a certain timeline, certain reality where you don't want to be. And you looking around at other people, and you say, well, how come they have what I want and I don't? Your beliefs keep you locked in this reality that you don't prefer. And you need to really start examining what it is they are. And parenthesis here, it's not the most comfortable of work, all right? Examining yourself. But I really want to work with people who are deliberate and motivated about creating a different version of themselves. If you're comfortable in your dysfunction, you know what? Be my fucking guest. But if you really want to transform yourself, then you've come to the right place. And you can reach out to me and we can talk. And so if your perception right now, right, going back to the ESP, all of this will tie in beautifully. You just stay till the end, okay, of this audio if you want to learn something. If not, well, if you're impatient, then I don't know what to tell you. Going back to your ESP, if your perception right now is that some drama happened between you two, or maybe not drama, and they just decided to leave one day, divorce you, and you became a second choice of some kind, and you are experiencing the lack of their presence and the lack of affection, the lack of love, and all this jazz. Understand, number one, you created it, but also you created it with your beliefs. And so you cannot, okay, be aware of lack and create something different than that. The awareness of lack brings more lack. The awareness of lack, like talking about it all day long to your friends instead of taking action about it and starting to manifest differently, or just crying or, feeling sorry for yourself, that does absolutely nothing. What you need to examine is, how the fuck did I create what I didn't want in the first place? Okay? And so if you're aware of lack, replace it with having that something that you're experiencing lack of. Because in the parallel reality, just like I discussed, there are different versions of all events that you're perceiving right now. Like, you can go up to a library wall of books, and this is a metaphor for parallel realities. All the books represent timelines, and the pages represent parallel realities. Pick a timeline with these parallel realities, and you can tell a different story. All entirely a different story. Pick another book. It's very similar, but it's an entirely different story, with some situations that you are not perceiving now. And so book to book to book, I should say, no, I should correct myself. The book represents the parallel reality and the shelf represents the timeline. Okay, sorry about that. So the timeline is one bookshelf and all the books represent the parallel reality. And within the parallel reality, the story plays out differently. Even if a slight change, a slight deviation from what you're experiencing. And so you can tell any story you want. You can pick up any book you want and start reading a new reality from a different time. You can go up or you can go down. Now, what does up and down represent? Going up in frequency or going down in frequency. If you're going down in frequency, the quality of reality goes down. And if you go up in frequency, the quality of life goes up. And so what is up and down? I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling up. I'm feeling very depressed. I'm feeling down. That's like really simplistically put. Okay. So somewhere there exists a reality that your SP has always been yours, and your beliefs, your perception tell you something different because your beliefs are stuck in another reality where you don't perceive them and you don't even perceive the possibility of having them back. You say it's impossible. How can they be? They ran off and married somebody else. They're with somebody else now. Maybe if they're not even married. They had children. Whatever it is, I don't care. It's entirely not important what is happening now. Your SP, if you really want them, if you really mean to say that you love them and you feel this connection, in a different parallel reality, they're with you. I don't care what the other circumstances that you're perceiving right now are. Okay, it really doesn't matter. Now, before somebody starts freaking out and telling me that I'm Satan and this is not supposed to be taught, all realities exist. Okay, in another reality, this person got a divorce. In another reality, they realized you're the one. In another reality, whatever, you're married to some other person. Choose a reality. And it doesn't have to be that you manipulate anything, them or the third party or anything like that. You just need to decide where you want to reside. What kind of reality do you want? Do you want to reside in the reality where your SP has always been yours? You've just been perceiving things differently and understanding things differently, which is why you created them running off and getting married to somebody else. Meanwhile, in your preference, you would rather be with them. Now, parenthesis here, if you'd rather be with them in that parallel reality, they would rather be with you too. Does that make sense? In you creating your reality, and so nobody else has the say in your reality. So if you prefer to be with them, they prefer to be with you too. That you reside or resided in the parallel reality where they're with somebody else, you created that too. You went to that reality and experienced that bullshit. Congratulations. Now, if you want to travel to the parallel realities, and don't worry, it's not like a time machine you jump into, but with your consciousness can take you there in a split second, provided you, number one, believe you can do it. Number two, you've done the work on your beliefs that allow you to accept what it is you really want. Because some people, believe it or not, well, for me, it's kind of incredible. They have a real problem with accepting what they actually want. It's this resistance. Well, things like that don't usually happen to me. What if I'm not worthy? What if they like the other person better? What if this is not supposed to happen like this? And I'm telling you, everything already exists. You don't have to manipulate anybody. You can create any version of reality, and it will be with the best interest of everybody involved. You don't need to do anything other than decide where you want to be, right? In what reality you want to be. It's as simple as sitting down and just writing down or just deciding in your mind, okay? I want to be in a reality where this happens and this happens and this happens. And so when you do, You can't just say, well, this is wishful thinking or this and that and the other. This is not fucking wishful thinking. This is how reality works. The reason you experience movement or change of any fucking kind, okay, the reason it's September outside and not fucking December yet, this is how movement works. This is how you travel from parallel reality to parallel reality. But certain things are agreed upon. Okay, August comes first and then September comes next. Okay, but you know what? You don't have to do it like this. If you wanted to, you can just go after August comes December. I'm just saying hypothetically speaking, because those realities are right next to each other. So then what? Okay? In the same way, right now, right here, you can sit down and decide, you know what? I'd like to be in a parallel reality where this person just has always held a torch for me. We don't understand what happened, other than parenthesis, my creation happened. But essentially, we're meant to be together. They understand it just as much as I do. I don't want to have resistance towards this creation that I would rather prefer anymore. Whatever forgiveness I have to work on, whatever things I have to really work through in my own belief system in order to bring this reality here, that's what I want to create. And do you know it will happen so naturally? It will happen just as September follows August, okay? It's just a natural progression of things. But the belief in your preferred reality has to be like rock solid, stationary, unmovable. Tomorrow you get some news contrary to this and that you prefer, don't care, don't give a fuck. You see them with a third party on Instagram or some goddamn where else, don't give a fuck. I have my own interpretation of things, and I interpret this as this is the old story, this is the old reality. I have the new reality playing in my mind. I'm shifting there. That's all I care about. You really have to be strong like this. Metaphysically speaking, when you're manifesting, you are transitioning from one version to another. It could happen in a snapshot, but in a blink of an eye. But the thing is, more than usually, it happens in stages. So if tomorrow you wake up and it's not like you wanted it to be, hang on, stay there, and be rock solid and don't budge. Don't budge for 1 second. This is how I create change in my personal life. This is how I sow change in my clients' lives. Momentarily, you can start being a little bit doubtful in this and that, but as long as at the end of the day, you go back there and say, no, this is what I really want. This is what I really want. And you don't take action on reacting to what is happening right now if it's not to your preference, you're golden. This is how you create change. People can tell you all day long on the outside, even the most educated people or well-meaning people, you don't understand. This is the reality of things. Okay, who gives a fuck about what the reality of things is? I know what my reality is. There is no the reality. I have my reality that I'm creating, that I'm communicating with in my mind, and that's what's going to be playing next. And when you're quote unquote delusional like this is how you create radical change, on purpose change, and the change that you really prefer versus what other people, or the 3D for that matter, tells you that you should acknowledge. Fuck that shit. No, thank you. Not for me. I think at the end of the day is just what I mentioned before. Can you accept that everything can be just as you want it to be? Because for a lot of people, it's really difficult. Because it already is just as you want it to be. And people walk around all day long looking for fucking problems, thinking different things that they shouldn't think, instead of thinking on purpose and just selecting the parallel reality in which they prefer to reside and saying, my SP has always been mine. I uncreated him or her from my reality, but they've always been mine. It has always been my choice to bring them back in a blink of an eye, just like that. And I have not chosen to go there. I have not chosen to have them for some reason, but that's the reason I explore in my coaching. What is the reason you're not allowing yourself to have them, to have that experience of reaching out and reconciling and getting married and this and that, or them apologizing, sending you a text, la 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 la. There's a reason you're not manifesting it, and the reason is you. It's always you. Don't start looking for fucking reasons like third party. Third party my fucking ass. You created the third party. You create the whole shebang. You create the moon and the stars and the building you live in, or the house you live in, or wherever the fuck you live. I don't know. Maybe you live like on an airplane. I don't know. On a boat. Who knows? I don't know. People are weird sometimes. Maybe you live on a spaceship. Who knows? I don't know. But the thing is, you create all of it. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding, by the way. Nothing is weird these days. It doesn't freak me out. I think some people's airplanes would surprise you how fucking decked out they are. So creating the situation that you really so crave and really are so aware of the lack of it is nothing more than going up to the bookshelf and selecting the parallel reality of your preference. And if you want another timeline where things are drastically different, you can do that too. This is how you change people. This is how you change circumstances. But in the parallel reality where your SP has always been the one for you and you were the one for them, is always now. Everything is always now. And so if you allowed yourself to deviate to some parallel reality where you created the third party, all you need to do is uncreate that situation by going into the parallel reality where there always have been yours. Even though that experience happened, I'm not saying it didn't, but it happened because you created it through the prism of your beliefs, of your doubts, of your insecurities. Now remember, nobody can take anything or anyone away from you unless you give it up in your consciousness. If your consciousness went sideways at some point and you said to yourself, I'm insecure, I don't know if I can keep them, maybe they like somebody else and this and that, you're in fact commanding the universe to take that away from you. Whereas you say, this is mine. He is mine. This is mine. I don't care what anybody else says. It belongs to me, no matter what. This is what I mean by being completely solid in your reality and never budging. Because that really creates results almost overnight, but solidly so. Not only does create it now, but for years to come, right? So I'm assuming you want that SP, you want to get married to them, I don't know, have children with them, this and that. Excuse me. I'm assuming maybe you want like a particular income, okay, and for it to stay there. So this is a skill you need to really acquire so that you can manifest whatever it is you're manifesting, SP, whatever it is, and keep it. And keep it. And no matter what, it's mine. It's just mine. It's just come standard like that in my reality. And if there's something that I don't like, I'm going to change it. But as a base, what I want is mine. And so if you're coming from this consciousness where I'm totally stable in my vibration about my choices, and the reality that I prefer is stable within me, then of course your SP has always been yours. They're yours now. And your realization of it is what will bring them back. Because you went on kind of like a little walk around in the park to other realities. Meanwhile, your SP stayed where you wanted to be. And he or she is like, what the fuck just happened? Where did they go? They're in the parallel realities, like wondering, hello, I had a lover, I had a boyfriend or a husband or a wife or a girlfriend, and suddenly they just, something happened and they're not here anymore. I don't understand. Now, of course, this is a joke, but more or less it works like that, because it's kind of like you create another version that abandoned you or treated you poorly and this and that, and that's the reality you went to. But the one you want, the version that you want to be with, has always been there and is waiting for you to rendezvous again on that frequency in that parallel reality. Two different versions. So your SP, who is waiting for you, with a glass of champagne to celebrate your reunion, or if it's a man, she's waiting for you with, I don't know, apple pie. I don't know, whatever. Chicken wings. Sorry, feel so silly today. My metaphors are funny today. Chicken wings with ranch sauce. I don't even eat chicken. I don't know where this came up. Waiting for you, to welcome you back into the reality, and to have this romance and to have this experience. And you're over there with your old beliefs, with the old situation, and you're too busy going about things in the way that you don't want them to be, and in the same breath saying why they're not here. I want my lover back and I want my romance. Do you see how much sense this makes? No fucking sense at all. And yet this is what a lot of people are doing in my coaching and just in general, whoever misses their SP and la la la. So you need to really transport yourself into the parallel reality where, first of all, you think differently, you have different beliefs, you expect things to be different, and you understand that the only reason you deviated from whatever you had before or whatever you want to have, period, maybe you didn't even have it, is you need to change in order for the reality to be on the same frequency with you. You need to change your thinking. You need to change the way that you perceive things. The way that you are examining reality. Reality is not what you translate it to be right now. It's just not. Your ultimate reality is with your SP. That's the ultimate reality. So your reality is distorted because you have a program running that doesn't belong to you, just the way I started my audio. The best analogy I can give, it's like if you were to be wearing glasses that are somehow like dim or something, and or have like the wrong prescription, or have a distorted like glass of some kind that doesn't let you see reality the way that it really could be or the way that it really is. Because ultimately, the reality that you belong in looks very different. It's everything you want it to be, and somehow what you really need to do, all you really need to do, is take off those distorted glasses through which you're looking at the world and start creating the belief, or the understanding rather, that you have no idea the kinds of things that are possible. SP is just the tip of the iceberg. All the things, you name it, all the things that you want are already yours. You just cannot observe them in the 3D because of your distorted perception of the reality that you are choosing with your vibration, your beliefs, the mode of thinking, the mode of comparing notes with the past, and all this jazz, rather than understanding that none of it has to do with anything other than being able to choose what you want to choose. Just walking up to the bookshelf and choosing what you want to choose, the kind of parallel reality you want to be in. Because it's always yours, it's always already yours, it has always been yours, or they have always been yours, and they will permanently remain forever yours. Now, where you are in the story, That's the question. Thank you very much for listening. All the information from me is below. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.